Hi guys! Welcome to the Yerba Buena end of the Summerland Readathon live show. Welcome! I'm so excited to be here. I'm so excited. This week has flown by. I feel like it's been the longest week and also the shortest week possible. But I want to, before we get into, talking about the book, whether or not you read it, I feel like a teacher who's did you do the assigned reading? Did you do it? But before we do that, I want to know how your guys's readathon went, what you guys ended up reading, if you completed any of the challenges. Let me know. This is the Summerland Readathon wrap up. So I read 4 books so far, and the day is not yet over. I am almost finished with my 5th book, actually. Yeah, I read 4 books. Some middle of the road ones. 1 4-star, which we'll talk about when we get to the book. And yeah, it's been very good. Lots of reading has gotten done. I've read books that I have really been wanting to get to, and hadn't had the opportunity to do so. So I've gotten to do all of that, and I think I have checked off all of the prompts, all of the challenges for the readathon as well. So that is good as well. Let me know what you guys have ended up reading for the readathon. But yeah, it has gone really, really well. Still hoping to finish a couple of things, but I'm just over ambitious as always. So I have one thing I'm going to finish, and then I'm in the middle of another one. You read Yerba Buena? Awesome! And you're reading Happy Place right now. Oh my god, me too! Stop! Managed to get 3 of the prompts done. Awesome! That's so cool. Yeah, I'm so happy with how the prompts turned out and how you can double up on them and things like that. I'm definitely going to keep that in mind next time I do a readathon, which might definitely not be announced anytime soon, but I'm definitely thinking about it. So that is something to think about. Did 3 of the prompts, the group book, Summer Scaries, and Summer Heat. Awesome. That's great. That's most anticipated and scariest. Those are some of the most fun, I feel things to read, but definitely reading some summary things has also been really fun. A lot of things that I've been reading have been more summary than I've anticipated. And even the book I'm reading now, which is You Don't Have a Shot, that I'm supposed to use for Summer Heat, it's set during the summer, so I didn't even know that. So I'm just checking off all the prompts. Very exciting for me. But yeah, that's so exciting. What was I gonna say? Yeah, I'm definitely going to think about doing another readathon at some point soon. Maybe doing a kind of quarterly thing, seasonally. This is Summerland. Maybe we'll have a fall one, a winter one, a spring one. Yeah, I'm definitely thinking about it, and I'm already can it be fall so I can do that again. But it's been a lot of work, but it's been really fun to do all this stuff with you guys, and seeing you guys participate is literally bringing me so much joy. So we can get to talking about Yerba Buena. Let me bring it up on the screen really fast. Here she is. So this is the only way I've learned how to put her there, but here she is. I love this cover. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I wasn't planning on talking about this, but this cover is so cute. And there's another cover, and it's I think it's supposed to be Sarah and Emily, both on the cover. I think it's the paperback, and it's just not hitting the way this cover hits. Look at this cover. The vibes, immaculate. I love it. And the fact that it has the drink and the flowers, symbolism. Symbolism at its peak. Love. Anyway. But yeah, let's start chatting about Yerba Buena. This was a really interesting book club pick. I'm glad a lot of people seem to want to read it. Because I don't know if I would have ever gotten to it if it wasn't for this readathon. But let's talk about some non-spoilery thoughts and opinions. Hit me up in the comments of oh my gosh, this is so funny. It is such a nice cover to mask how dark this book is. I 100% agree. I think even the new cover is even more like bright and like fun looking. Like it looks like chiclety. But you're totally right. Like the stuff that goes on in this book, which we'll get into. We will get into it. We will get into every little thing because I actually can't wait to talk about it with someone. But yeah, this book is way darker than it appears on the surface. But yeah, let me know in the comments what how many stars you guys gave Yerba Buena, or like what your general impressions were. Final review, what a one sentence review, if you will. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. Now, I just don't think it's a 5-star book for me. 5 stars, like I don't give them out a lot. But I definitely did enjoy it a lot more, especially like after the first like 4th or so. So I had to like deduct points for that. But like once I got into it, I really enjoyed it. Yeah. So we've got 4 stars as well. But yes, very dark. Yeah, it's like very surprising. And I think once we get into the spoilers, it really does like jump you into this these dark topics and themes so fast. It's kind of like a sink or swim kind of vibe. So obviously, since you're not expecting it from this cover, it's definitely something that isn't going to work for everyone. You gave it 3 stars, liked it better than you thought you would at first, but it might not stick with you. That's totally valid. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think 3 stars like is such a like middle of the road kind of like rating, and I think that this one, I don't think it will stick with me either. I think that like in terms of like writing, in terms of character, I think that it did a good job in those areas, and I do think it's like a really good book and like better than a mid-range book. So that's why I gave it 4 stars. But I can definitely see, especially like it is such a like whiplash effect of a book, and it also almost reads in writing purely, not in theme, younger to me. I don't know if anyone else got that, but yeah, I just found that interesting. And I know Nina LaCour comes from a, you know, purely YA background. This is her first adult novel. So I just think that's interesting to kind of pay attention to. But yeah, I don't think I need to own it. I don't think like it, I didn't feel the need to like annotate it when I read, which was another thing. I don't think it was very flowery or anything like that, but it definitely was interesting. And I'm excited to talk about the spoilers because there are some things where I'm like, what happened there? What actually is going on? So I think that wraps up the you know, non-spoiler thoughts, unless anyone else has some. We wish it had 2 different POVs. Sarah's story versus Emily's story were differentiated a bit more. I totally agree. Yeah. With listening to the audio, I didn't realize they were 2 different people until further into it. Yeah, I especially at first, I was like, especially since the first scene, I think it starts with Sarah, and Sarah has like a group of friends, and they also have like female characters and female friends, and I was like, who are these people? Are they important? Like I couldn't tell who was important yet. And then yeah, but the way that they switch perspectives is, it seems like I just don't know if I understand the purpose for each like switch in time, because then it also jumps around in time as well, which is kind of confusing. And there were parts definitely where I was like, we were at one point in the timeline, and that in like Emily's story, and then we were at a different point in time in Sarah's story, and it was like, but they just met and you haven't met each other yet, and it like didn't make sense. It was definitely a choice, the non-linear thing and the not really differentiating the perspectives, because they're, you know, third person limited, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it definitely I want to talk a little bit more about the characters of Sarah and Emily. I think we can touch on them. They're definitely very similar, and I don't know exactly where they differ. Um and I think that the point was that they were similar. And maybe in some ways that's why they worked. I don't know. But especially in the first part when I was like reading about the things that they were going through, it was like kind of like almost the same thing, and I was like, and then where they end up in their lives are also very similar. They have similar family dynamics and values. And yeah, I just think that's an interesting choice to not have more complexity between their characters, I guess, and more like, I don't know, it could be more dynamic, I guess, if they were like a little bit more different. I don't know. Yeah, their jobs were fun. The florist and the bartender and the house remodeling, that was really interesting. I also really loved that. I thought that was so, like, it was really like refreshing to read about. Emily starts out as a florist, and Sarah is a bartender, and then Emily moves to house remodeling, which was like such this interesting pivot. And I really love like the descriptions of all of those things, like the flowers, the drinks, like you've got all the senses going on. The remodeling, it's very tactile. Like that was really like great with like full of imagery, and I really liked that as well. Like, I don't know, I feel like I read a lot of books, and people tend to have kind of the same jobs. In a lot of books now, people are like in the publishing industry or like writers writing about writers. And they kind of have like very like basic jobs, 9-to-5s, kind of things like that. But it was really interesting to see kind of these careers, especially, and kind of how they came into these careers was something as well. And what that kind of said about them and their lives. It's very interesting. So yeah, I don't know. Like, can we talk about Yerba Buena as a as the herb it is? Like, have you guys had a Yerba Buena? I feel like they were very similar. Emily got more character development, maybe because her character was inspired by Nina LaCour's old family history. I didn't even know that. Oh my god. And Sarah was harder to relate for me. That's super valid. I had no idea Nina LaCour based Emily off of herself, but I can definitely see how that makes sense. I do think Emily definitely got more development. Sarah was kind of stagnant as a character. But the Yerba Buena of it all, like, let's talk about this herb, this magical herb that kind of the book keeps bringing up. It's obviously the title, so I don't know, like something about titles, I'm always like unconsciously looking for the title, and this one, it was not hard to find. Yerba Buena was everywhere in this book, and maybe too much. I don't know. I thought it was a little like, it's Yerba Buena. It's like, it's called Yerba Buena. There's a Yerba Buena plant. Like, okay. Like, it was a little heavy-handed, I felt like, for a metaphor. But I'm curious what you guys thought about it, or if you guys like have experience with Yerba Buena. I had no idea what it was actually before reading the book, but now I kind of want to try it. Like, it's like they can brew it as a tea, but also that drink sounded really fun that Sarah makes for the. It's called the restaurant. For the restaurant called Yerba Buena, the signature cocktail is also Yerba Buena, and the plant is also Yerba Buena. It's all Yerba Buena, guys. Never had Yerba Buena, but really liked how it was a place and a feeling and an herb all at the same time. Yeah, it was a nice like through line throughout the story, definitely. And I really liked like the kind of just plant imagery and metaphors that were going on. Seemed very like they were very prevalent throughout the story, but they were also just like seemed really meaningful to like the situations that the characters were in. But yeah, I've personally never had it, but it sounded good. They made it sound really good. So I thought that was cool. But I think we can move swiftly along to some spoilers because I have so many questions. I have so many talking points. I just like want to talk about it all. So make sure to click off if you haven't read Yerba Buena, but if you have, stay. Okay. So I don't even know where to start. Should we start with the beginning? Let's start with I want to start with like we all said we were kind of jolted. Jolted? Is that a word? We were all kind of like shocked by the beginning of this book. These two tragedies are happening. We have like I'm literally getting them confused. Hold on. Emily's sister Colette is like collapsing. Sarah's girlfriend Annie is dead. And at first I thought Colette was dead, and I was like, these both have like death. Like there's so much death already. And I think like it's weird again, like how similar she not only made these characters, but made these characters like lives. Like they had like very similar things happen. And also just like the drug abuse of it all, like that kind of thread going through the story was something I didn't expect. And I also found it, I don't know how you guys felt about it. Like it's later revealed Sarah's mom was a user and her dad, I keep checking the names, and her dad was like a dealer. And then that Annie, Sarah's girlfriend, died of an overdose and then was like dumped in a river basically. But then Emily's sister Colette was also an addict, and she like recovered, which I want to talk about because like, did she join a cult? But but I feel like it was kind of weird to me. I don't know about anyone else, like how substance abuse was handled, because they didn't really talk about it. Like it was just kind of like quickly explained that this was Sarah's family and this was how they explained Annie's death. And like for Colette, it was just kind of like her personality trait almost. Like I feel bad saying that, but like it was just kind of like there's the sister that has that going on, and like, you know, leave her alone. We don't know what she's on. Yeah, I just it's sort of like, yeah, always in the background of things, but not like directly addressed. And I thought that was really strange. Yeah, it isn't really explored. Yeah, it does feel like a side plot that doesn't get really developed. And I wonder why. Like, because it's there. Like, it's so clearly there, and it's so clearly this connection also between these two characters. And it's kind of brought up later, too, especially with, like, Spencer. When Emily's like, you know, make sure, or I actually don't know who says this, but, like, make sure, like, Colette isn't getting drugs from Spencer. But like, we don't really talk about it. Like, I'm curious, like, what is Sarah's relationship to drugs? Like, what is her, like, you know what I mean? I feel like there's a lot of, like, people who have, like, addict family members, or, like, people who experience things in that way, who have a very, either they, like, go into that, or they, you know, try it out, or they like stay far away and they stay like sober, or like what, like I felt like she should have a stance on drugs and alcoholism and substance abuse and everything else that comes with the territory, but it seemed like she didn't. And I feel like she would. Like, your girlfriend, your childhood best friend died of an overdose, your mom died of an overdose. It seems like you would have thoughts. there were a lot of heavy topics, drug abuse, sex work, depression, that were kind of just mentioned and not really expanded upon. It was probably intentional, but also I wonder why. Yeah, exactly. Like, that's why I'm like trying to like talk through right now. I'm kind of like processing it in my brain. Like, the sex work as well was really, that was something that took me off guard, caught me off guard initially. And it was just like, I don't know about that. Like, I just don't know. I want to talk about Grant too, because like, what happened to him? like homie was there, and like they like trauma bonded, and like then he left, and I'm like, there was that little glimpse of like, oh, he's like has a kid now, and like, you know, found love and whatever. But like, I feel like, I don't know, it was kind of like nuts to me that he didn't stay. I don't know, or like not stay, but like stay in the book as a presence in the character in the book. But Sarah also never seems to grapple with trauma of her experience with sex work. Not that sex work is bad, it's just, yeah. No, I 100% agree. It seems like it maybe for like a chapter or two, she's like pushing it down and consciously like mentioning it. But yeah, it seems like Grant has this harder time with that. And that's really interesting too, because what is it in Sarah's, like, I just want to know more about Sarah. What is it in Sarah's past that has made her so like the way she is? Like, why does she, how is she dealing with all of this generally that is going on in her life that she has seemingly dealt with since birth? You know, she lost her mom, she lost her girlfriend, there's drugs all around her childhood, she has to do sex work to get out of her town, and like, she doesn't say anything about it. It's really strange. But not even that she has to say anything about it, but it's just not really explained of like how she's feeling about it. That's more of what would interest me, is, yeah, how she feels and just her relationship to it all. What is she thinking? I feel like we don't know what she's thinking a lot of the time. But gosh, I feel like that was so many things. What else did I want? I mean, there are so many things where I was just like, what? I'm sorry. I'm, if you've ever noticed me like laughing at any point, it's just a nervous habit. It is not, I do not take any of these things lightly, especially, I realize we're talking about like a pretty heavy book and I'm laughing and it's not good. But anyway, so okay, let's talk about Colette, because Colette joins a cult. Like, she fully joins a cult. Like, fully, 100%. I'm sold. Like, she definitely did. I don't know if anyone disagrees. I would love to know if you disagree, though. And where you think she went for that. I don't know. What was it? Like a month? Couple months? Where she was like, I can't have my phone. And, like, I can't call you. And, like, I can't even explain what it is that they do out in nature. I was like, but like, why did it magically fix her? like what was that? Like, it was definitely a cult. Like, I would like, where is Colette's book about her being in a cult? About her guy named Tom with an H. Like, I want Colette's story. Because it was definitely a cult. But like, why did we brush past it? I feel like it was like, give Colette character development. How does she get it? She joins a cult. like how does she come to any realization? Joins a cult. Yeah. I don't know. Also, do we think she's going back to drugs at the end? What's up with Spencer's drug dealing? There's no resolution. That was, thank you for bringing that up, Annie. That was another one of my talking points, because like, I loved French Tom. Oh my gosh. I loved Spencer, and I thought he was a really interesting character, because I feel like almost he was more developed than Sarah in some ways, and you could fight me on it, but but yeah, because he dealing drugs? Like, was that solidified that like that's why he had so much money? And then like, why did he talk to Colette? Like, why? I'm so confused. But I don't know how I feel about his choice to stay at the old, actually like forget where it was. At their old town, their hometown. Because like in some ways I like understand it, but it also like the way he was like living was so like, oh my god, it was so like teenagers like who have no parental supervision, just like, oh my gosh, throwing parties and having girls over. I was like, Spencer, I want better for you. Like you deserve so much better. But like, I don't know. I think he was such an interesting character and a much well-developed character, but like what happened? Like, that's another thing. Like, I just think that there were so many like loose ends. I'm also talking myself out of my own rating as I'm doing this. I'm like, should it be like 3 stars? Okay. There are like so many loose ends in the ending, and I didn't understand it. I was like, what? Like the ending, like they're like, we'll resolve some things. We'll like throw in some, more hint at some conflict that's gonna happen, some turbulence, maybe, but like it'll be fine, and like maybe it won't be fine, but like it'll be fine. And that was like the ending. Literally, like, what does that even mean? Like, and so many things were unresolved in like every way, shape, and form, which I like understand, but some part of me like was like bamboozled into thinking that this book would like wrap things up. Like, I don't know, I had that expectation, which I shouldn't have, because like so many weird and tragic things were happening that like there could be no realistic happy ending. But like for some reason I really, really thought there would be. I was like, love solves it all. Like, I don't know. But I really thought that. Hate to be negative, but I feel like it's almost inevitable that he goes back to drugs given his past, his environment, and the people he's around. But I like to believe he doesn't. Yeah, I mean, like, that makes, yeah, you're right. Like, that is kind of this problem. And especially if he does stay in that town, right? Like, if he's staying in that environment, if he isn't going back to Los Angeles with his sister and is staying with those friends and, that group of people, then, like, it does make sense that it's inevitable. But it also, like I said, like, he is doing his choices, his actions are so much more realistic, I think, than Sarah's. Like, I mean, once Sarah like gets out, I mean, Sarah's whole experience there makes sense. But like, once she's like living on her own and stuff, like, she's never really confronting her past. And he feels like a character who is much more often and much more in a way that's like shown on page. But yeah, I actually didn't even realize how many things weren't wrapped up until you brought it up. We really got no answers. Yeah, I mean, it was a wild ride, but like it didn't end. Oh my gosh. I know that Sarah wanted Spencer to be happy, but I'm a bit surprised that she left him there. Yeah, I mean, like, in some ways, I feel like it parallels the beginning, when she has to leave and, she has to make the choice for herself. But you're totally right. Like, if he stays there, there are these, like, much more problematic consequences and things that can happen to him. That I don't know, like, in some ways I feel like she oscillates, between being a parent and being a cool sister, and I don't think she ever really lands on one, but because she has been doing that kind of flip-flopping a lot, it seems like that was more of like the sister decision. She had to let him go. But I mean, what is, like, he's like 18. Like, what? I mean, I'm sorry, but like, we've all been 18. Who is letting an 18-year-old, like, just free range? Like, Where's he gonna live? Like, they're selling the house, right? Like, the truck is in the, like, lake. Doesn't have transportation. What does he have? Like, literally, the more I think about this, the less it makes sense. Like, she is leaving him to, like, fend for himself, which, like, most likely would lead to selling drugs. So, like, Sarah, let's discuss your decision, Sarah, okay? Oh my gosh. Okay, another thing that peeved me about this book, which was, it's a line that Spencer says, and I love Spencer. He's great. I love him. Like, I every time he speaks, I'm like, oh, he's that little kid. Like, he's so sweet. He just wants to curl up and draw a picture. But the pictures. The picture game, or it's a game, whatever. The Sarah's father draws, there's like a picture that they're playing with, and he adds a picture of a very clearly dead Annie, like with a thing in her arm, very clearly OD'd in the river, and is like, I'm not gonna help you look for her. Like, psychotic behavior. Like, genuinely psychotic. Like, what? Oh my god. And like for years, this like haunts her. This like horrible like picture of her dead best friend, girlfriend, excuse me. And she's like, why the fuck did he do that? And it's like, oh my god, I'm like quaking with anger. like Spencer was all like, it was a confession. And I'm like, Kai was running around with like the like sleaziest, gross, like pedophilic men giving drugs to children and watching them die. And then just draws a picture of her dead best friend. Like, that's not cool. That's really fucked up. like, why are we not talking about it? Like, who in their right mind? Who, like, was he on drugs? Like, that's the only reasonable explanation. Like, no, the picture, I could, like, because you could picture it, too. It's, like, it is, like, and the second I read it, too, I was, like, is this, like, I know this is not shelved as horror, but, like, is it? It was giving me, like, Hidden Pictures vibes. I was, like, who, like, ghost? Like, I was so confused. And, like, no, I just actually can't get over this. Like, who would do that? Genuinely, who would do that? Like, IDK, if it was a confession, it seemed malicious to me. He seemed like he was on drugs for sure. Yeah, I mean, they never, I don't know if they, I don't have a recollection of them saying that he was also doing drugs, but I definitely believe it for this fucking picture alone, if that's any indication. But yeah, it is this like malicious thing, because like, think about it, at this point she doesn't know that Annie's dead. She's like thinking the worst, of course, but she's like, I need to go look for her, like I need to like go find her, and like is doing everything in her power to try to find her girlfriend, like this person that she loves and cares about. And she goes to her father and is like, let's go find her, like please, I'm coming to you, like help me, you know, like this is the worst possible thing that could happen. And he's like, let me just draw you a picture, let me just doodle it up. Like, what the fuck? She also just came out to him. I know. Imagine the oh my god. Like, I mean, and he like basically killed her too. Like, that's not even the word. Like, he draws this picture of her dead friend, which is like weird, creepy, gross, yeah. But like, or girlfriend, sorry. They were also best friends because like they had a soul connection, which transcends death. When she starts popping up later in the book, I was like, Annie, Annie, rest in peace, baby girl. Like, please. I don't need you in these scenes with Emily. But like like he killed her. Like, he literally let this girl die. And I actually just, like, can't get over it. Like, I genuinely, like, garbage. Like, I mean, that seems like the worst. I mean, I think she says, like, that was the worst thing he ever did. And, like, that is fucking heinous. Like, that is disgusting. I kind of want to do a little bit of a pivot to another thing that I found weird and horrific that was also unexplained, if that's okay. So, imagine if I was just like, so Jacob. Weird, horrific, and unexplained. This man. Oh my gosh. I was also so confused of how Sarah kept saying that she felt like Emily was both herself and Annie. And yeah, no, I didn't. Okay, I'm glad someone else was confused because I didn't want to bring it up because I was like, is that mean of me? Am I like disqualifying her grieving process? If I'm like, it was kind of weird that like when they were sleeping together, she was like, it's Annie. And I was like, oh, girly pop, no. I also thought that was weird. I think Emily's just chill. She's seen a lot. I feel like Emily's kind of, she's gone through it, and she is just like the most like, I don't know. I really like Emily. Like, the more I think about it, I really like Emily as a character. And I like how she's kind of just like, yeah, you see your dead girlfriend? Okay. But you love me? Okay, cool. like she's like, okay, I've seen worse. Like it's been worse for me. Like her whole thing is like, just stay here. And she's like, all right, I'll stay here. So, yeah, thought that was weird. And then she gets with Jacob. What a man. Didn't think there would be men in this book. I was all signed up for the women. But there were men, and that was unfortunate for all of us. We wept. We cried. It was horrible. So we have a horrible man. But is he horrible? I don't know. She like tries to redeem him at the end, and I was like, still kind of cheated on his wife though. But so the part I was queuing up to was about Jacob. And so Jacob and Emily are they're on a little weekend getaway, right? And I don't know how they happen upon this. Maybe they're like going out. But they happen upon like, okay, now there's these hikers. Right? They're hikers and they like died and like they stumbled upon this crime scene. Let me know if I'm like completely insane and like I misread this. But what was the point of that? Like, why did that happen? Like, I'm like asking for a friend. Like, I don't understand. I really liked Emily's relationship with Jacob because I think it portrayed that she was feeling internally super well. Yeah. Yeah, what the heck? And I know I do understand what you're saying about sorry, wrong comment. I do understand what you're saying about her and Jacob's relationship. I think it made like sense with where she was at in her journey. But yeah, the thing with the hikers made no sense. I feel like it was supposed to be thematically significant, but IDK. Like literally like it was like, I don't know. I don't want to use this word lightly, but it was a little trauma porny. Like it was a little bit like add more trauma for the sake of it. And I didn't, and because there's no explanation, because we're talking about how like there are all these things, all these like traumatic things that like carry a trigger warning, you know, and they go unexplained and they go, you know, without much depth or description. It's like, why are they there? Why put that there? Like, I don't know. I put myself in the shoes of Nina LaCour when I was reading that hiker scene. And I was like, you know, bop, writing my book. And I was like, okay, Jacob and Emily are on a weekend getaway and things are tense. And then there's hikers and they're dead. And then someone was like, what? Like, I feel like she just went off, like, in a completely, like, I don't know, different direction and like forgot she was writing Yerba Buena and thought she was writing like a psychological thriller. Kind of like with the picture. I feel like the picture and the hikers, they actually are in a different book that she was working on. And and she kind of was like, let's put that here. Just make it one. Make it one book. I guess it was kind of eye-opening for Emily. She realized that no one knows where she is, but then she figures out it's Jacob's family house and he knows people there. Yes. But I think that I think that could have been done in a like more subtle way. Because she was like, am I getting murdered? And I was like, girl. Like, he could have just popped into the coffee shop and someone would be like, Jacob, my favorite neighbor. And she'd been like, oh my God, like, he has friends. Like, he comes here all the time. Oh my gosh, puzzle pieces coming together. I don't belong here. Yada, yada. I don't know. I just feel like, why throw in a death when you don't need to? Like, at the end of the day, why do you need it? For some reason, I feel like that makes Emily end things with Jacob, but I don't know why. Yeah, I mean, I think that like the realizations that she comes to because of it are definitely like part of that process of her realizing how they don't fit and what she's doing is. I mean, I don't want to say what she's doing is wrong, but like what they're doing is wrong. Him mostly, but definitely the man's fault, as always. And I think like it definitely like contributed to those thoughts and like stirring up those things for the next action. But it's like, why kill the hikers? Like, at the end of the day, why kill them? So actually, what was the point? No, I don't know. I genuinely do not know. I don't know, but it was something that haunted me. And I'm glad we could all talk through this. Oh my gosh. Like, I felt like that was a fever dream. I was like, that's really why you're... Anyway, sorry. I'm still on it. I'm still confused. I still think it's in that separate, you know, suspenseful thriller that she was writing, and it just made its way into here. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know about you. But, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I'm just checking my notes, because I made lots. So I feel like we've talked a lot about like Sarah's family. We've talked a lot about like a little bit about Emily, but I also think Sarah lacked in general. Like, I think we can all agree her character was lacking after the first act, kind of. And then she kind of had her brother thing, and that was her brother side plot. But like, I just was wondering, so Sarah has a birthday party, and it's said that her friends come, but like, who are her friends? I don't know. Like, Emily throws this cute ass birthday party. Like, honestly, it sounded really cute, and I really wanted to be there. They made gumbo. I was kind of living for it. And then they're like, Sarah's friends show up. And it's like, we know Emily's friends. We know those two homies. They're the best. We love them. We respect them. Family movie night. But like, I don't know. Sarah didn't have many people like that were related to her except like her actual like relatives. Like, she didn't have other connections. I thought that was really strange. Yeah, it was weird. I'm trying to remember if we had met them, but we never had them and never saw them again. Yeah, I don't even think they're named. Like, I think it's just literally like Sarah's friends. Like, I'm almost sure. Like, they literally don't get names because they're not important. But I just think that's so weird. Like, thinking about a character being so like isolated in the story. It's really interesting to me. And she doesn't have other connections other than outside of her family and Emily. And Annie. I don't know. It's something I thought about. Also, I really like that birthday party scene. I really liked that birthday party. Man, I wanted to go to that dinner party. I wanted to go there. So I wanted to go to that house. Oh my God, that house that she fixed up, I was there. I was there. I was living. Oh my gosh, the mansion. I don't know about you guys, but like it was spectacular, and all the rooms were so bright and fun. The kitchen was like all green. I was living for it. I didn't know I loved home renovation so much. Like, genuinely, I was like, should I start flipping homes because of this book? Because I think I could do it. If Emily can do it, I can do it, and I think that says a lot. So, oh my gosh. Sarah seems to exist in this bubble. Like when she and Emily get together, she suddenly has time all day to live at Emily's house. Yeah, I know, strange. And she helps her fix it up and is there for weeks on end, and then she has her brother side plot. And then the book ends. Pretty much. Yeah. I don't know. She's in a bubble. Oh my gosh. I love the flipping houses bit. And the atmosphere, the imagery in the book was so nice. Yeah, I really loved it. I could like so clearly see the houses, and I feel like I can't in most books, like picture architecture like a physical space that well, but it was really well described. It was awesome. Oh my gosh, thank you for bringing this up. Can we talk about Sarah leaving Emily with blood gushing out of her foot because Spencer was going to jail? I'm sorry, like the way I read that sentence and I was like, that doesn't sound real. Like that sounds like a fake thing. Please tell me what you guys would do in that situation. Oh my god. I mean, girl gets her an Uber. She's like, it's a cut. See you later. Also, let's keep in mind, they just met each other for the second time. And they slept together. And she's like, you know, cuts her foot open. Probably needs stitches. Peace out. Literally, see you later. No, I would, yeah, take her to the hospital. Okay, let's think about this. If a homie is in jail, I don't know why I keep saying that. If Spencer's in jail, if your brother's in jail, he's calling from jail, like, yes, it's a, you know, time constraint. You gotta get there at some point. But, like, he's chilling. He's not, like, he doesn't need to be picked up ASAP, right? But, like, if there's blood gushing from someone's foot, I feel like that's a more pressing issue. Yeah, you're right. Like, at least drive her to the hospital. Like, it couldn't have been that far away. But LA traffic. I'm just, it could be a factor. I don't know. But yeah, drive her to the hospital, get her situated, call your brother, be like, I'll be there in, I don't know, where's the jail? I don't know, 20 minutes, and then go to the jail. I think it's weird. I mean, it's definitely like a kind of like immediate response kind of thing. Like who is the most important person in the situation? And it's like the split-second decision that she makes. And it's the wrong one, for sure. Because like the fuck. Oh my god. The drama. Truly. I could definitely see this as like a limited series or something. I completely understand being shocked about your brother going to jail, but it's also kind of her fault that this thing happened to Emily. Help her out a little. No, fully. I mean, she dropped the glass, right? So, but like, I don't know. I'm not gonna fault Emily for stepping in glass because that seems like that's bad. But like, but yeah, dog. Like, what? What are you doing? And like, get her number. At least like be like, drop her off at the hospital. Say like, you know, it's been great. I have to go take care of like a very actually important family emergency. But I wanted to make sure you're set first. Get her number, because they then lose contact for like months. So that's stupid. Get her number. Be like, I'll make this up to you. Do like a cute wink, and then get out of there and go to the jail. Problem solved. And then we like solve the like next third of the book where they're not talking. like genuinely. I think that's how it should have gone. I think that's it. Yeah. Because, like, I mean, they meet each other, and then they, like, don't say anything, and then they meet each other again months later, and then they don't say it, and then they fucking sleep together, and then they don't get each other's number. Like, guys, like, ships passing in the night. Like, get it together. You have cell phones. Like, it is not that deep. I don't know. That was the part where I was like, this is, like, so romance book. The way that their romance is structured. Because then they're, like, together. And then they're together for, like, as a unit for a long time. Oh my gosh. Yeah, if she had just communicated and asked for her number, the book would have been 100 pages shorter. Which is probably why it didn't happen. True. But I also think, like, the way that their relationship works, like I said, like, there's this meeting, and then there's, like, another meeting, and then, you know, there's months at a time where they don't talk to each other, and then once they meet again, they're pretty much together, and they're, like, very much, like, committed, throwing dinner parties, like, fixing up a house together, like, seeing each other every day together, and it's, like, we skipped, like, I don't know, dare I say dating? like they didn't have, like, a, they did a pretty big jump, is what I would say. But, like, I get it that they're, like, really, like, bonded and connected, and, like, they look at each other and, like, fireworks go off or whatever. And, like, that's cool. But, which I liked. I mean, I liked, like, the magic of their, like, chemistry, I guess. But yeah, I feel like there wasn't very much, like, development in the relationship. It kind of just, like, happened, and then it happened, and it was like, there we are. Yeah. I also thought that the romance didn't do it for me. Okay. Because I thought it was insta-lovey. As soon as they meet, Emily feels, like, her hand, and that Sarah is meant to be. Yeah. No, I can fully understand that. And I also think that that's a problem with, like, what can I say? Like, telling, I guess, and not showing. Because they're not, like, having these, like, long conversations or anything. It's just like, oh my gosh, she touched my hand, and, like, I'm in love with her. Like, I have to know her. And then they go so long without talking again, and still they have somehow this, like, irreparable bond, which doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. But yeah, I do think they make sense. I think they make sense because they're, like, kind of the same people. They're kind of the same people. So they do make a lot of sense. And I think, like, I don't know, we don't see them talking about, like, deep shit a lot, I don't think. But I think once they have, like, their deep chat, like, where they get it all out, like, you know, trauma bonding, as I said earlier, I feel like they could really, like, they could kick it. I think that they could do well. Yeah. I think I would have felt the same way if it was a normal romance book, but since there was a lot more going on, it didn't bother me. I agree that it makes sense that they're together. Yeah. No, I think that, like, if this book marketed itself as a romance, which, like, thank God it does not, because, like, then there would have been even more whiplash. Then I would have expected more from the romance. But because it kind of is told in these short kind of bursts, it makes sense for, like, everything else that's going around being more important. But I also know that when going into the book, like, I didn't really know a lot about it, and I did kind of only know the romance. So I did kind of have to really quickly readjust my expectations of being like, oh, I know this is sapphic, I know it's literary fiction. And I was like, cool, it's gonna be romance. And then no. so no. But it doesn't look like a romance book, but it also doesn't look like the book that it is. I don't know. We'll redesign a cover maybe. I totally get that. I think the other aspects of the book were very worth it, and the romance felt very secondary. I think that's super true. And I think that if there had been even more character development, especially in Sarah's, then it would have been, like, top tier, you know, like if they really would have like wrapped things up, gone into things with more depth, then it would have been 5-star. But yeah, but the romance, you know, it didn't need to be at the forefront, which was nice. The book that I had had a quote on it saying it was a romance for our time as well as as well. So my expectations were different. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. Oh no, wait. A romance for our time? What makes this a romance for our time? Genuinely confused. Oh gosh. I hate that, but I'm glad that it just says, I mean, at least on my copy, it just says a novel. So I just had my own mixed up thoughts about it. But very interesting. Well, is there anything else? I know this has gone a lot longer than I imagined, which is awesome because we've kind of touched on everything I wanted to discuss. But if there's anything that we missed, make sure to drop it in the comments right now. One last thing I'll say is that I really like the imagery at the end, towards the end, where I'm trying to find it, where Emily is like talking about her life, and she's like, I was a vase, and at the flower shop, and with Jacob she was a flower, and at her grandmother's she was water, and then she became a plant. And I like that. I thought that was a little cute little metaphor. So that was one thing I really liked. But and I was like, same girl. You know, we are, you know, we are different versions of ourselves for different people and in different times. So I thought the flower metaphor was very, very appropriate and made a lot of sense. But I think that about wraps it up for the Yerba Buena book discussion. Oh my gosh. Her dad. I do love her dad. I love her relationship with her dad, and also like connected to the houses, and also like after her parents like are separated and getting divorced is really interesting. But I didn't also know he was her dad for like a minute because she calls him by his first name and I was like, who's that? But yeah, I really liked that. Yeah, see, Emily was a really built out character. Anyway, sorry. But yes, I think that about wraps it up for this book discussion. This was so much fun. And I'm glad we had a lot to talk about. I hope you guys enjoyed the readathon and reading along, even if you didn't love the book. And yeah, I'm so happy this went well. And thank you all for joining me, and I will see you all very soon. Bye.